callbacks, retcons, character returns, character introductions, all that in episode 6 of the Book of Boba Fett. Welcome back to Old Head Reviews, and in this video, I'm going to give my full breakdown and spoiler review for the Book of Boba Fett episode 6. Let's go. Bro, you thought I ain't have another Mandalorian shirt in the cut somewhere? That's right, Iron Maiden mixed with Mando. Let's go. Welcome back to the channel. As always, I'm your host, Joey Sparks. That's 2 E's, no Y. You heard me, that's 2 E's, no Y. And chapter 6 of the Book of Boba Fett. Let's get right into it. But first, do me a favor and hit that like, subscribe, notification bell. Help me go up in the algorithm so I can keep bringing these breakdowns to you. This chapter was titled, From the Desert Comes a Stranger. And we open up with Cobb Vanth. Right away, I thought this was who they were talking to. Shortly after that, I realized I would have made a mistake. But we open up with Cobb Vanth busting up a little small deal from the Pike Syndicate, a small spice deal out on the side. You can tell that now the town that he is a sheriff of wants no part of the syndicate or spice in general. He kills 3 of them, lets one leave to tell them all to stay away and don't run spice in the town. Keeps the spice, gives them the money, throws the spice out, moving on. We cut right to Mando's N1 starfighter on a foresty planet, which we're assuming he's about to show up and meet Grogu. He lands the ship. We see R2-D2. Always fun to see him back. One of my favorites, and he has been through all of the Star Wars. He's like that one constant. Who can ever be mad at R2? R2-D2 meets Mando and takes him to this place where there are a bunch of other building droids creating what seems is going to be Luke Skywalker's Jedi Temple. The droids build Mando a bench and instruct him to wait. We get into it, no delay, right away. What we thought we might see in season 3 of The Mandalorian, nope. Next week, here you go on a silver platter. Thank you, Star Wars. Thank you, Disney. We get a scene with Luke Skywalker and Grogu. Oh, Luke Skywalker's kind of trying to calm Grogu's mind and teach him some ways of the Force. I will say, the CGI on Luke Skywalker's deepfake face got better since last year. Still a couple times a little wonky, but I mean, hell, I sat through the Star Wars prequel trilogy, so I'm cool with a little shabby CGI here and there, especially if that means we get one of the galaxy's favorite Jedis, Luke Skywalker, back on the screen, right? I really love this scene because you kind of get to see Grogu still kind of being immature and acting like he was about to eat the frog. Then Master Luke says, no, we can't be using, the Force for personal gain. And then at one point in time, you see like a callback to the time when Luke was getting trained by Yoda, and Luke tried to lift the X-Wing out of the swamp, and he couldn't. And then Yoda steps up and does it. Well, now we have Luke picking up, let's say, like a dozen frogs, showing Grogu what one can do with the Force if they focus. After this, we cut to a scene in a forest where Luke and Grogu are walking together. And as a parent, I appreciated the little Force hand wave Luke was doing to move Grogu along. Man, there are times when my youngest child is just not moving fast enough, and I wish I had that Force technique too. They get to the end of their walk. Luke puts his hand on Grogu's head and does almost like a Force memory read. We get a flashback to Order 66, where we see Grogu being protected by 3 Jedi Knights as the clone troopers are invading the temple. The clone troopers take out the Jedi Knights, and then it looks like it's inevitable for them to take out Grogu, and instantly we come back from the flashback. Now, if you're like me, you wondering, how's he get out? How does he make it to this point in this Star Wars series if he was about to die then? That means somebody saved him. Who? Let's speculate. Another Jedi, I would assume, right? Someone decided to step in. And in my mind, if they play that scene again and like some Jedi jumps down and starts slashing them all and turn around to Grogu and picks him up. Come on now. Come on. That's the stuff we're here for. What if? Now, They retcon things all the time. What if, and I don't read the comics religiously, so maybe this has already happened, but what if it's Mace Windu? What if Mace Windu didn't die when he fell out the window, but he was able to come back somehow and save Grogu, and that's the way we can bring Mace Windu back? Then again, Sam's getting up in age, and do we want to keep doing Sam, or do we want to throw a deep fake? A deep fake on Sam Jackson would be crazy. I don't know if we like that, but this is just speculation. There's no facts. We cut back to Mando sleeping on a bench. He hears a branch snap, grabs his blaster, and we think it's going to be Luke and them, and no. They brought back Ahsoka Utana. Whoa, boy! Damn! Then Ahsoka takes Mando to this opening in this pasture where he can look up and see Luke Skywalker and Grogu speaking with one another. It is at this time that Ahsoka re-explains to Mando about Jedi attachment and how if Grogu is going to train in the ways of a Jedi, he cannot have this attachment. It will make him difficult to focus within the Force. Mando sits and thinks about it for a long time and then decides he's just going to let him continue training and not interrupt. But he wants Ahsoka to give him his gift, right? Mando leaves the gift and then leaves the planet. But as he's taken off, you cut to Grogu's point of view, who can see Mando's ship leaving. Doesn't know it's Mando's ship, but in my mind, the Force tells him it's Mando. But we move on to Grogu being in a backpack on Luke's shoulders. Just kind of like how Yoda was once on Luke's shoulders when he was training to be a Jedi. They call back to the front flip over the branch on the ground. Come on, man. If you're a Star Wars fan, you cannot help but relive some of that nostalgia. They stop, and then it comes time for Yoda to train with the training sphere, the little Jedi training sphere from back in the original New Hope, and then some of the prequels that we've seen Jedis use time and time again to train. Well, we see it used to train Grogu to jump, right? And so as Grogu is going along from rock to rock over the water, trying to avoid the training sphere, we get a small scene with Ahsoka and Luke Skywalker. And that's so dope that we get to see them on screen together. Now, obviously, this isn't the first time they've met together by the way they're speaking, but it is nice to see them there, being that they are like family. During this small scene, I think the most important word track to pick up on was when Luke Skywalker referenced that Grogu isn't as much learning as he is remembering, meaning that he was collecting lots of training back in the original Jedi Academy, right? Come on, man. All that stuff gets put together and it makes us fanboys wig out, right? Next, we cut to Mando arriving at Boba Fett's palace. And then we cut into their war room scene. And Fennec Shand is giving the instructions on how they're going to accomplish their plan. And around this table, you see Boba Fett, Fennec Shand, you see Chrysantan, you see the mod crew, as well as Mando. Mando informs them that he might be able to get them the help that they need. Next, we cut to Mando showing up to meet with Cobb Vanth. They enter the bar that they met in the Mandalorian season 1, and they discuss how Mando needs his help. Cobb Vanth tells him he's not saying yes, but he's not saying no. Mandalorian takes that as good enough and then leaves. And then we get the real stranger from the desert. Talk about entry, bro. That's how you enter a fan favorite. Now, I personally didn't watch all the Clone Wars, but I watched enough to know who this was. Cad Bane. I mean, we're talking blank desert, silhouette, Western style hat. I mean, just Western vibes, classic American Western movie vibes all day long, all day long. So they introduce Cad Bane. Now, if you're not familiar with who Cad Bane is, he is a character who originally debuted in Star Wars The Clone Wars animated series. Now, I'm not big on animated series. It's tough to get me to watch cartoon anything. I loved them as a kid. Now, as an adult, I just fall asleep. And there could be great story within there, but it'll take me 2 or 3 days to watch it. I'm not totally up to snuff on everything that happened in the Clone Wars, but I do know Cad Bane. Cad Bane is a bad mother, shut your mouth, right? So he's a bounty hunter too, right? But like he's revered as like one of the best bounty hunters that deals with Jedis. He got a couple blasters, blue skin, and he red eyes. He wears this bucket hat. Man, I tell you, they did a great job of bringing him to live action from the animated series. I'm cool with it because the voice sounded great. The voice sounded damn good. Then Cad Bane proceeds to tell Cobb Vanth that they cannot interfere in the Pike's business of running spice at all. Of course, Cobb Vanth doesn't like that, and they get in an old Western standoff, right? I mean, I was getting the good, bad, and ugly vibes all day, and that's what I love about some of the direction in this series is they're pulling from like classic cinema scenes and paying homage to them, and you know, old heads like myself can really pick up on that in a moment. Of course, they square off, and then the deputy comes out and starts kind of just distracting Cobb, and in a split notice, Cad shot the sheriff, and he also shot the deputy. I had to do it. So cheesy. After the exit. After the exit of Cad Bane, we cut back to the planet where Luke is training Grogu. And we're in some sort of dojo. And then we get almost an ode or an homage paying to Shogun Assassin scene, The Choice. So, Luke Skywalker undoes the little bandana and pulls out exactly what I thought, chain mail, and he lays it down on one side. And then, retcon again. We find out that someone has found Yoda's lightsaber, right? Now, real quick, the retcon on Yoda's lightsaber. In the prequels, he was fighting in the Senate Hall and fell, and the lightsaber fell somewhere else too. And actually, from what I'm picking up on the internet, in the comics, it was gathered by a bunch of people and destroyed too. But they're deciding that it's more meaningful right now, and I don't blame them. It doesn't slow me down a bit, but I just wanted to keep you up to speed, right? So it comes down to the choice, chainmail or Yoda's lightsaber. Now, I'm a Wu-Tang fan. Wu-Tang, like me, was a kung fu flick fan. I used to watch them all the time too, but they helped me with quotes. This specific quote was from Shogun Assassin, where the father brings out a katana blade and a ball and says, choose the blade and rule with me. Choose the ball and die with your mother. And sure enough, they do that same thing here. And like literally it ends with the camera on Groku's face, looking at the camera, quivering, asking us, what should he do? In my mind, I think he's going to choose. I mean, right now, Luke is asking Grogu to choose a creed. Because on one hand, the Mandalorians need a tribe. They need their people. They create attachment, and that's big part of the Mandalorian creed, right? And then the Jedi creed, that one is big against the attachment, like that keeps you unfocused within the Force, right? Now, if you're asking my opinion, for story arcing sake, I think he's going to choose the chainmail, just because of the little spot on the back of Mando's ship. I mean, literally for nothing more than that. And then also the fact that he won't be here later on when Luke's Jedi Temple gets destroyed. I love this episode. I mean, let's talk. I mean, just fan service everywhere. They brought back Cobb Vanth, Ahsoka, Luke, Grogu. You brought four people that I love, right? You also introduced Cad Bane, the baddest mama jam. Woo! I'm telling you. And in fire fashion. I mean, there are entrances and then there are Cad Bane's entrances, right? Then you add in, the storyline, like Groku having to choose between creeds. Come on, man. And then the people around him having to deal with that choice. Man, bro. I got to do it again. 9 out of 10. I am only taking off because my one criticism is this doesn't seem like the Book of Boba Fett anymore, right? That's 2 episodes where we ain't get to see no action out of Boba Fett. Now, will that help for the finale next week when he actually does do some action? Because we know we're going to see some action then. Probably going to get to see him ride his Rancor, but we don't get to see him practicing coming up to that. And I just feel like maybe when they said the Book of Boba Fett, they meant like the Mandalorian season 3, the Book of Boba Fett. Like this is just like a sub chapter outside the Mandalorian story, right? Doesn't that seem that way to y'all? Let me know what you think in the comments. But in my mind, the Book of Boba Fett almost seems like a small derivative to the Mandalorian story, which I'm not mad at all, but I can see people's complaint when they want to see Boba Fett's story. They want to see Boba Fett's arc. And then these last 2 episodes, it's been all about the Mandalorian. Now, don't get me wrong. Din Djarin, that's my man's. Grogu, that's my man's. You bring back Luke Skywalker, that's my man's too. Man, you bring back all that stuff, like it's fire and I love it. But just for the simple fact that I don't know how it fits in with them, I'm going to have to deduct a point. So yeah, 9 out of 10 ain't bad, bro. Now, this brings up what's going to happen next week, right? So obviously we're going to get, I'm assuming, a battle with the Pike Sigma kit. And now we're going to have Boba Fett, Fennec Shand, Chrysanthemum, the mods, Mandalorian, and whoever else he gets to help them. I think during this episode, hopefully it'll be a payoff for us having to deal with this disjointed storytelling of the season. Because the more and more I watch Mandalorian storyline, the more and more I have to degrade some of the scores for Boba Fett. But, hindsight's 2020. Anyway, please tell me what you thought. I really want to know. I could talk about this episode for another hour, but I don't have the time for it in this video. But I do have time in the comments. So please let me know some of your favorite parts, some of your most hated parts. How are you rating this series moving forward thus far? All these things I would love to know at Old Head Reviews. And that's kind of why I started this review channel, because I want a community to discuss these things with, right? So why not build one? Right? Anyways, I thank you for all your support. If you've enjoyed this video or any of the content, please, I ask you to consider hitting that subscribe button. Other than that, we'll see you back for next week's finale of the Book of Boba Fett. I'm Joey Sparks, and this is Old Head Reviews. I'm out.